What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today in this video, guys, I want to talk about Luna and the Ponzi tank, quoted by Kamikaze. Now, what is the quote of the Ponzi tank? What is he referring to with this? Well, a lot of people are comparing this to iron finance, and I fully I agree with the arguments that Kamikaze has. This guy's a really smart guy. Make sure you guys follow this guy. He knows what he's talking about. He's a really good DeFi analyst, so make sure you guys give him a follow. But what his argument is that 225 days until the VCs refill the Luna Ponzi tank. So really what he's phrasing this as is people are really only getting UST and playing an Anchor protocol because it has the 20% yield and that it's not sustainable. And I agree. Currently, the 20% is not sustainable. I made a full video on Anchor and I made a couple threads if you guys want to check them out. I'll also explain it later in this video how Anchor is or has its sustainability. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is Kamikaze is not the only one with this thought. There's a lot of other people saying, yeah, I'm not touching Luna for that reason. And I agree with them, especially after like something like Iron Finance with that massive collapse. That is something to be scared of. To understand how Luna works, it works like this. In order to mint $1 worth of UST or any of the other stablecoins, you must burn $1 worth of Luna. So it's an algo stablecoin. So theoretically, if something bad was to happen or if there was a bank run, what would happen is people would exchange the UST into Luna to sell the Luna in order to get their money out. And that further sell pressure would cause the price of Luna to go down. And if there's more minting of Luna, there's a lot of excess supply and less demand because people are trying to get out. And that's what happened to Iron Finance. So it's almost like a collapse that'll go like this, and then it just tanks straight down because everyone tries to get out. Just look at a price of the Titan token for Iron Finance, and it'll show you what it looks like. In one day, it literally went up to about $140, $150, and it went to, I think it was $0.000001 or well, I don't know. It was really, really cheap in one day. So it literally lost everything. So that is the argument that he has against it. That the problem is, in order to keep the quote-unquote UST and Luna demand up, Anchor reserves have to stay up. So right here, as you can see, he said, but the Luna Ponzi is based on paying 20% APR on UST, very specific math Ponzi, so when the reserve runs out, Luna is toast. BTC, ETH, none of these other cryptos function like this. I would digress on Ethereum because Ethereum, when it goes proof of stake, it's going to be paying about a 6 or 7% APY. Where's this staking reward coming from? Well, it's coming out of the back of the pockets of all the other investors that are holding ETH because they're being diluted. So theoretically, it is a Ponzi because if there's no new demand coming in to buy that Ethereum, eventually your wealth is going to be distributed to other investors, and eventually everyone's going to get diluted. And if there's no money coming into Ethereum and it keeps printing at this rate, well, eventually it'll hit zero. I mean, okay, I digress. It will take a long time to do that at 5% per year, but you guys get the point. It's still diluting. It has an inflation. Now, BTC, on the other hand, has a different set of issues. With Bitcoin, the miners are securing the network because of the mining rewards. When the mining rewards run out or get too low in order to sustain and pay for the hashing algorithms and the energy to do that, and the hardware to hash that out, that's when you'll have an issue. Because if the miners are not securing the network, then what is Bitcoin? Yes, I understand the argument that cities may subsidize it and say, hey, look, we understand this is just going to be a cost to keep the network running. But then you also have the argument of if the United States has the printer go burr, why would they give that up to Bitcoin? So just a couple of things to think about. So to sum up the argument on Bitcoin is that when the rewards run out, they claim that the fees will pay for the miners. Now, the problem I have with that argument is that if I agree that Bitcoin is digital gold, I don't spend my gold. So I don't pay any fees. So if I'm not paying any fees in order to, well, buy some milk, like pay a transaction on Bitcoin to buy some milk or some groceries, whatever, who's paying the miners? There's no rewards. There's no transaction fees being paid. Nobody's paying the miners. When the miners not being paid, they leave. When the miners leave, there goes the network security. Now, again, like I mentioned, cities taking on Bitcoin and saying, hey, look, we understand this is just a cost of doing business, so we're going to have to subsidize and pay the miners. I mean, there's different arguments for it, but it does mess with the game theory on Bitcoin when it's just going by fees and having it as digital gold. Now, Mr. Alt Trader was chiming in. He said, some Ponzi's are more Ponzi than others. Luna's current purpose is only to generate 20% APR. I haven't seen mainstream adoption of UST, which means it's only just a money printer that will stop eventually. Now, I understand that agreement, especially if you don't know about the other protocols that are out there. So I said, hey, look, take a look at Cardano Money, take a look at Pay at Terra, take a look at Chai Finance, Terra Cards, and Alice. Now, these are all different protocols. Alice allows you to cash out to your bank. Cardano Money is a place almost like Amazon. You can buy a bunch of different stuff with UST. Chai Finance is it's actually Chai Payments app. Same junk, different day. But it allows you to transact with other merchants. So it's like a Square or a Stripe. So if I see like goods and services, I could sign up with Chai Payments as a merchant and say, yeah, we'll accept your payment and we'll accept UST. Merchants will like to use this because the settlement time is much faster. And on top of that, the fees are way lower because you don't have to go with the 3%, 4% transaction fees or processing fees from other companies like Stripe and Square. And it's instant settlement. So, 6-second settlement. Whereas the others, sometimes they take up to a week, 2 weeks. And if I'm living on like a slim profit margins, I need that money now so I can pay my employees, keep turning over, and keep going. And on top of that, if I'm using Chai Payments, I can always throw it in Anchor and earn a 20% yield. Now, okay, I get it. Anchor's not sustainable. Okay, I agree with you. 20% Anchor at its current point is not sustainable, especially if Doe has to go top it up. Now, what does Anchor do in order to sustain those reserves? Well, I made this like little clip. Camera angle. My dude, we got to change the camera angle. Yeah, what can you do, man? I'm not going to, I don't know. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have just, whatever. Anyways, it was easier. So the point is with Anchor protocol, this is how it has its reserves. If you notice when you deposit over on Anchor, you have an over collateralized position. When this position is over collateralized, this is what's paying out the yield. So say, for example, I have some Luna, and it's B Luna in particular on Anchor. This is a yield-bearing asset. Currently, the staking reward for Luna is about 7 to 8% per year. And if I have to take an over-collateralized position, depending on the asset, sometimes you can get a loan up to 80%, sometimes you can get it up to 60%. Right now, it is actually 75% of like the recommended loan to value. I mean, sure, you can lever up, but the assets are volatile, so you can lose all your funds, and usually people shouldn't lever up that much because you can lose everything, but still. The point is when you have that collateralization ratio, you're actually giving more money up front than you're actually able to borrow. Now, if I lend out $1,000 worth of Luna, with the collateralization ratios, I can borrow $750. So basically, there is a over-collateralization factor. So if I was earning 8% on Luna, and they're actually getting additional Luna than what I was getting because they're getting $1,000 worth of Luna, you can theoretically say they're actually earning about 12% on my Luna. Now, if they're paying out 20% and they're earning 12%, there is a deficit in that factor. And hey, I 100% agree with that. That's why I agree that it's not sustainable at current ratios. It needs more assets. One of my favorite assets is Atom, which is Atom, the Cosmos token. This is currently paying about a 14 to 15% APR per year. Now, if we plug that in and have the over-collateralization factor and say we do it at 60%, which Atom is going to be coming soon, they've already mentioned it, it would actually be paying Anchor Protocol about 26 to 28% APR to APY per year. So they're actually going to be profitable at that point. And the reason why someone would want to borrow on Anchor Protocol is for a couple of reasons. But the main one right now is that they're getting paid to borrow. So they don't have to sell their Luna asset and they're getting paid to borrow. Now, I agree. Now you're saying, oh, it is not sustainable. It's if they're paying to borrow, I mean, eventually they're going to run out of money. Well, this is where they're working on VE tokenomics. So most of this stuff is run by game theory. So the VE tokenomics work like this. We're going to use Curve, for example, because they're the starter for all of the VE tokenomics. When I go on Curve, I deposit my stable coins. The reason why I deposit stable coins is so I can farm Curve. But when I'm farming Curve, they have different gauges and vaults, and they say, hey, if you want to keep earning rewards or even boosted rewards, you're going to need to stake your Curve and vote on your vault. So I'm like, bro, I'm earning 5% and I can earn 20% on stables. I'm going to go ahead and lock my Curve up and I'm going to vote on my pool so I can earn more Curve. Look at that transaction and look at what you just did. You farmed Curve and you gave it right back to Curve so you can earn more Curve, which if you want to keep playing the game, you need to deposit back to earn more Curve. So Curve on the back end is actually getting a percentage of those swap fees. When I say Curve, I'm talking about the Curve holders. They're getting a percentage of those swap fees that's paid out to the stakers, the governance token holders. So theoretically, you're paying Curve in order to provide liquidity. It's crazy. It's an odd thought, but eventually when you get incentives going to that point, you're almost paying Curve to keep playing the game. Now, at that point, you're like, wait, so it is a Ponzi. And I'm like, at that point, well, it's kind of. It's like the game theory, to where the new investors are coming in to buy the Curve token in order to boost up the price, which also boosts the APRs, and more people come in, which also boosts the yields, and more people farming Curve, and they lock it. It's just a constant flywheel. So you're having the buy pressure from protocols wanting the Curve token, or in this case, it'll be Anchor because they're doing the gauges. And then you'll have the people who are farming Ank, they will dump it to the protocol people. When I say protocol people, the other protocols wanting to have the rewards for their gauges jacked up, so it increases demand for buying their token. So in this case, it would be Persistence 1, if that's for the Atom token, the staked Atom, or like Lido Finance for the BETH and B Luna. They would be like, bro, we need to go buy some Anchor so we can jack up our yields. So more people who are staking their ETH are like, bro, we need to go with Lido Finance and stake our ETH with them so we can get a yield and we can bring it over to Anchor and earn an additional yield. So that creates their flywheel. Anchor's got their flywheel. And then on top of that, Anchor is like, dude, our APRs go up because people will be buying our token. So when people be buying the token, the APRs go up. When the APRs go up, more liquidity comes in. When more liquidity comes in, Anchor earns more money because they're having more collateral being added. And when more collateral is being added, you guys get the point. That is the flywheel. Now, is that a Ponzi? Well, yeah, most of everything is a Ponzi. Let's just take a look at the dollar, for example. Why do people buy the dollar? Well, in order to buy goods and services and like food and junk. Well, if no one is using the dollar and they're inflating the supply, like if there's no demand for the dollars and everyone's inflating the supply as in the government, well then theoretically the purchasing price of the dollar is going to go down, especially if inflation exceeds demand. Like we've seen with oil prices or the prices of food and items, as you can see, the prices of them are going up. It is theoretically a extremely slow rug pull. Me personally, I would not categorize Luna as something like a Iron Finance. The difference between Luna and something like Iron Finance is it has several use cases about it. If you are in crypto and you're like, I'm bullish Ethereum, it's the best thing in the world and Luna is a straight Ponzi, well then I will go back to you and say, why do you buy ETH? Well, because you're speculating on it going to a higher price. So if I'm buying ETH and I'm bringing new money into the system, what does that do to the price of the ETH for the other investors holding it? Well, the new money is then paying the old investors. Now, I know you're saying, now you're like, no, new investors don't have to come in. They have a 6% staking APY. And I'm like, yeah, that's really good. I like that. Where does the APY come from? Then you realize that the APY, if there's no new money coming in the system, it comes out of the back pocket of the other investors. So if there's new money coming in, that's what's paying the APYs for Ethereum. It could be for Avalanche, for any of these proof of stake tokens. So now again, we also have the other argument. Well, there's use cases around it. I mean, like Luna, the only reason why you get UST is to earn a 20% yield. Well, actually, you can do different things on Luna. Like I mentioned to you, first you have Chai Payments app, you have Cardano Money, so you can actually buy like goods and services similar to like the dollar. And on top of that, yeah, you can have some fun with some NFTs. So NFTs are cool. You also have borrowing and lending. You have Chai Payments app. You have Alice. It's not only about the 20% yield that is gravitating people towards Luna. There are other things involved as well. Like I mentioned to you, you have Chai Payments, which actual merchants and actual people use this because if you guys are in the US, we're not the only pig in the pen. I mean, there's other people out there who are seeing their currency just rapid inflation. Like we're talking like 25-50% in a day. Some people have to get paid 3 times a day. In order for them to get a stable coin or a dollar like USD, like the dollar, they can't get it. But stable coins allow them to do it. And being able to get a decentralized stable coin like UST that cannot be frozen like a USDC or a USDT is crazy. Now, Chai Payments will allow merchants to be able to accept payments from other customers and other people inside the country. And it'll also allow these payments to not be censored and restricted. So when I say censored and restricted, there are several different articles and situations and circumstances where they've had USDT and USDC all frozen. So something to keep in mind as well. Again, you also have Pay with Terra, you have Alice, you have Cardano Money. There's several different protocols that allow you to actually buy goods and services and things. So it actually has a real world use case. Now, Luna and UST, those are also used for the gas on the ecosystem. So if you're wanting to play in the DeFi inside some of those Ponzi's, yes, there are protocols that are Ponzi's, just like on Ethereum. They have yield farms. That's what we call them. They are called yield farms. What are yield farms? Well, they're Ponzi's because it's the new investors that come in to buy the yield farming token to jack up the APRs. That is how you can look at it. I would not consider Luna as the asset of being the Ponzi. I consider Luna as like the pick and shovel play to be like, hey, if you want to come to our casino, just like on Ethereum, if you want to play in their casino, you need Ethereum for their casino, and you need Avalanche for the Avalanche casino. You need Luna for the Luna casino, or at least UST. But how do you get UST? Well, you need Luna. So same junk, different day. I hope that video helps. If there are people going to be asking questions on Twitter, I've already had a couple people ask. I think this is the best way to approach it so you guys can get a general overview of Luna. I've made several different videos if you guys want to check it out. I'm not telling anyone to buy this. In fact, I'm usually a top signal. So like when I talk about something, it just means it's at the peak. I get wrecked 1,000% of the time, actually 100,000% of the time. So do not buy this just because of this video. I just want to give you the information that I found and some different thoughts that I have in how the Terra Luna ecosystem works. So that way you guys can have the information that you are looking after. Now, I'd love to hear your guys' comments and tell me what you guys think of Terra Luna and some other protocols you guys are looking at, and explain to me what your thoughts are and why you think my thoughts are wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. Like, this is just how I see it. Sometimes I see things wrong. I mean, I really do. So I want to leave everyone with these thoughts. You can kind of look at inflation as one of those things that you can almost consider it a Ponzi. Like with gold, with silver, even with Bitcoin, in order for these assets to go up, people have to buy the asset. So like people have to put new money in, where the new money is paying the old investors. And inflation is going to dilute the supply if no one else comes in. Like even Bitcoin right now is inflationary. So theoretically, if no one bought Bitcoin and the supply was increasing, this would actually dilute the other investors because there's not new money pumping up the price. Now this is where the quote unquote Ponzi's are separated from others. Yes, there is such thing as almost everything being a Ponzi, as in new investors paying off the old. But there are such thing as Ponzi's having a use case. Like the dollar, you need the dollar to buy goods and services. So it's actually needed to be used. Or like Ethereum, you need it to transact on the Ethereum network. Or like Luna, you need it in order to mint more UST to get that decentralized stablecoin, or at least a stablecoin that is more censorship resistant than something like a USDC or a USDT. Yeah, I understand you can go buy Bitcoin, but some people don't want to be exposed to that volatility. They want to be able to transact value on a network in a decentralized manner without having a centralized party telling them what they can and can't do. Some people are saying, yeah, you can do that with USDC and USDT. And then I will say, well, what about that time when the hackers thought they got away with the money and they froze their assets? Yeah, it didn't really happen so much. Sure, they were doing something bad, but still, the concept of being able to freeze something and stop something is not a good thing. Because what if the government is just like, yeah, you know what? Anyone who tries to pay this charity or tries to donate to a church or donate to someone, we're automatically going to decline or pause that payment. Well, that's an issue because at that point, if I'm trying to support someone, I can't send them the money. So that's where it comes into play. And Luna, on top of that, its stablecoin actually has other use cases. It's actually the oil that's used inside their Chai Payments app and other payment processing networks. And they even have other protocols that are as like a charity system, like Angel Protocol, to where it's actually helping other people, giving them UST and whatnot. And there's even other protocols that allows the yield that you're earning from UST to pay for goods and services and for things without actually having to use your actual principal. So it's kind of cool. It's got its own DeFi ecosystem. I just made a full overview video if you guys want to check that out. But just like if you're a DeFi degen on ETH or Avalanche or Polygon or Matic, it's Polygon Matic, same thing. You guys will find the same thing, but better, in my opinion, on Luna. It's almost like the DeFi chain that has a lot of innovation going on. And yes, there are NFTs as well, and there are their own communities over there. Just like you have Avalanche communities, just like you have communities on Polygon, it's the same thing here over on Luna. In fact, in my opinion, there are some communities that are really like way better than others, like Levana. Levana's like fire sauce community. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for tuning in. Let's go ahead and leave you guys with a wisdom one-liner. Proverbs chapter 18, verses 23. The poor plead for mercy, but the rich answer harshly. You got the poor saying help, help, and then you got the rich being like, nah, bro, you're a loser. Yeah, man, that kind of stinks. If you guys are rich out there, make sure you guys are just giving. Give the gift that keeps on giving, because that way when you give to the poor, like I've seen this is crazy. Like, check out this situation. I remember hearing this story. I don't know if it was in the news or whatnot, but basically what this guy did is he saw a homeless person on the side of the road, and this guy bought some chicken, some pizza, just all kinds of junk, and literally gave it to her. You know what this chick did? She didn't go and hoard it. She actually took it, she ran to her other homeless friends, and she was like, guys, look, I got a feast. So they all broke it down and shared it together. That is straight fire sauce, dude. Like, if I was homeless and someone gave me like a pizza, chicken, and all kinds of junk, I'd be like, where's the forks and napkins? And then I'd just be like shoveling it down. I mean, dude, that's amazing. Like, looking at something like that is just humbling, and just a reminder that just because you're poor doesn't mean you can't give. So yeah, interesting perspective. Thanks for tuning in. See you in the next one. You guys can also catch me on tweeters at rent a home fast, like literally at rent a home fast.